Okay, everybody, just getting everything set up before I can make an effort. So I'm gonna quickly run through while I've got things going on behind me. I'm gonna quickly run through the teams. We're only missing the one driver tonight, I believe, so everybody else should be here. And I'm glad to see some comments coming in already. Ivor, Smith, and Mocky, welcome along to you three, and whoever else is with us. There's one more. So yeah, the teams. We've got the team of Toilet Paper Racing between the Premier Division commentary team of Kieran and Jones. We've got Team David. That's me being British. And that was, pardon me, that was between Davey and Ivor. I believe it's only Ivor on his own tonight. Then we've got Inorganic and Backer in Brum Motorsport. So Backer inheriting the Brummy side of things tonight. And then 2 or 3 more teams, I believe. That's only halfway through. We have the Flying Scotsman between Stubby and Colin. Interesting to see how Colin's pace is in comparison to everybody else for his usual speed. And then we have the Flying Dutchman as opposed to Flying Scotsman between DZ Karting and Luke. It's a very interesting lineup there. And finally, we have the Kingmakers, which is personally my favourite looking team here between Danos and Quinn. So, without further ado, let's crack on and get into this. Now, I'm going to have to, you're going to have to tell me how the audio is. And I'm going to have to listen to it myself in a moment. I feel like that sounds okay, so I'm going to leave that there. If anything needs changing in chat, let me know. I'll do my best to check, but I can't check all the time. Not sure if there's an echo that I'm hearing or if it's coming through. Now, what is going to be a little bit more difficult here, I'm going to have to write this down, I think. So the Audi team of Quinn and Danos.
Green light. Go, go, go.
Is either oh god, Zakotis. I'm gonna guess. How? VDM is not Zakotis. He's in the Audi. Now I didn't realise this was going to be a challenge, naming the team. So let's see. The 2 Ferrari drivers, Blocker and Taylor. The 2 Ferrari drivers. There, I believe. Is that right? Or is that a Ferrari as well? I'm not entirely sure here. Probably should have gotten some names off of some people. Okay, the BMW is easy. That's Inorganic and Backer. The Merc, also easy, is Stubby and Colin. The, what's that? The Audi, hopefully it is orange, is Luke and DZ. Then the other Audi is Quinn and Danos, so I can do process of elimination there. And then, now what is that? Is that a Ferrari? That is a Ferrari. That is a Ferrari. Ferrari in gold is Kieran and Jones. And Ferrari in red. I'm scribbling down on the whiteboard right now. Is Ivor and Davey. Okay. Let's see how this gets on. Because I'm not used to these surnames. Right. Let's see. Who have we got out on track? Well, it looks like the dark Ferrari of, I believe this is Ivor. So Ivor is on his lap. So Ivor is out on his lap. Now, how do I... Right, well, we're going to have to ride on board. Not on board, but we're going to have to ride along with Ivor for a little while, just while I figure out the buttons for this. I'm going to try and get rid of his name. Sorry about this. I'm not sorry, because I stepped up last minute. Decided to do this for the boys. So, I actually, I don't really mind that. I've got a few things to do before the start of the race. What a better time to do it. We'll be surprised by qualifying. I feel like this should all be in the assists, but shit. What have I done? Well, this isn't what I'm after. I don't want to see like drive. Here we go. Okay, driver online ID is disabled. Disabled. We'll keep all of this on, and we'll put that on as well. Oh, you have to confirm it all, for goodness sake. Enable that. Disable that. There we go. Okay. We've figured out this much. Now we need to figure out how to get back to cinematic cam. And also, how to switch the drivers around. So... Otherwise, Ivor's going to be getting a whole lot of screen time. Click on the driver you wish to spectate. It's not very easy, is it? Oh, wait, you're joking. I've got to... Is that leaving the... I don't know if that is me. I don't know if that's... If I press leave, I don't know if I'm going to leave the session. Or if that's me... Well, I'm going to have to risk it. We've still got a few minutes and everyone's flying. So if I press quit, is it going to make me leave the game? I think it has. I don't think that's going to put me back. Oh well, I can rejoin. It's fine. Let me just, well, not that it matters, but I'm just going to go ahead and hide that. Okay. This is all a learning curve for all of us. But now it's like, how do I pick who I want to spectate? It doesn't make any sense. And who is that? In the BMW, that must be Taylor if the Ferrari is Kieran. Yes, of course. So the Ferrari Taylor is Kieran. And this is Lee in organic heading down in his BMW. Now, if I select this guy, like, yes, I can do it through this. And who is this in the Audi? In the red Audi. It's either Danos or Quinn. Maybe this... Am I missing something here? Right, so we've got supposedly 6 AM drivers that are supposed to be out or qualifying. We've got Stubby, dead easy. We've got Lee and Kieran. We've got Ivor. And then, because I'm not sure what the surname of Luke is, who would be in the other Audi, unless if I look at Dakota. Right, and then I need to find the other. Anyway, I will suss it out as we go. I should have really got information off the guys before we went ahead, but nevertheless, here we are. So, okay, so Danos is the AM driver. Is F1 on the camera, or is that just normal AC? I don't know what that means, unfortunately, mate. Smith, don't know what you mean by that. So Danos is the AM driver, and therefore Danos is out in the red Audi, and the red Audi is Ritardo. So that means that the guy out in the orange Audi must be DZ. So Zakotis must be DZ. And there's the driver swapped. Van der Maat, there it is. VDM. Easy as you like. Yes, so that is very clear. And now I'll start writing these down. Right, I think that's all I needed to know. I think the rest of the names will come to me naturally now. Question. Shift. Unfortunately, I'm not on PC, mate. I'm on console, so I don't know how to shift between drivers once. What's going on here? Oh, the session has ended, right? Yeah, I haven't figured out how to switch drivers yet, which isn't great. I mean, I pressed every button on the thing. Anyway, well, we're about to get underway. Only 6 cars out on track, but don't they look good in those liveries? Right, we have the 30-second timer. Maybe it comes back.
20 seconds.
Yeah, I appreciate the help there, Smith, but it doesn't seem to be working. You'd think the arrow
10
keys
seconds.
would work, and I can't figure out how to get back to the menu. Anyway, is it a formation lap, or are we... Surely it's a formation lap. I don't think we would just have a race start like this. So let's see what happens here. Are they away? I think they're away. No? No, they're about to cross the line, I think, and go. I think we're waiting on the flags. And we have quite the night ahead of us.
Green light, green light.
And we
Go,
have
go, go.
the green flag. And for the first time, RPM opens its doors to GT racing. And the Audi there, presumably of Luke, has been passed going at turn 1 by the Mercedes, and that should be, is it Stubby? Yeah, Stubby goes out first, so Stubby leads, then comes the Ferrari, I believe that is Kieran, and then Danos in P4, and bringing up the rear is Inorganic in P6, and Ivor in P5, and I would go on board, but I'm not sure how we would get off board once we're there. So that removes, this helps me cycle through some stuff. God, those engines sound good, don't they? This is also a cycle through some stuff. Ah, shit. I pressed the button, which I think we shouldn't have pressed. Well, while I try and figure this out, I guess Luke is going to have some screen time. And someone is up behind him looking to get the pass. Let's get this wide angle. And you can look there as he's run very wide, and around the outside goes Stubby, I think. Or is Stubby well ahead? No, that is the Ferrari of Kieran. So Stubby's got himself a 5-second gap already. And I believe this will only update as the laps tick over. So Luke drops the position into turn 1 to Kieran. Oh, and Kieran himself is taking that cone with him. Is that going to be a slowdown? I'm not entirely sure. The punishment round on this game for cutting corners like that. Obviously on F1 you get a track limits warning. And this is a very, very difficult braking zone. We will for sure see some contact through here at some points of the race. But for the time being, Stubby gets away. I think we're going to get some updated sector times in a minute as Kieran passes 7.5 seconds to P1, but just over half a second behind for Luke, and equally for Danos behind him in P4. No mention yet of Inorganic, who looks to have made a mistake, and the BMW driver finds himself the best part of 2 sectors down on the entire field already. So a disastrous start for the BMW team. And it's going to be a big ask for Bakker to do what he can in the second hour of this. And again, Luke, the same corner as earlier, struggling with under braking, and he drops down now into P4 or P5. I should be on this one. This is the live table, so I'll keep this one open. That is better to have. Still need to figure out what's going wrong. Let's try out this replay then, and let's see what happens. So Luke was just heading down the straight into turn 1, And he got himself, oh no, this is the wrong one. He gets himself through the chicane. Nice and sensibly, and he gets a good exit. Now again, I'm not entirely sure where the braking zone is. Let's see where he brakes this time, and we can try and mimic that in the next race. He brakes just before that white line, and the front end just doesn't want to grip. And he ends up running himself over the gravel 2 laps in a row and drops even more positions. Back to him though. He's still in the hunt for Danos, 1.2 seconds behind, and you can hear the tyres screeching there. It's a slow mid-corner for Luke. He needs to get this car under control. Needs to get the car under control sooner rather than later. And again, let's watch then as he gets himself onto the back straight. Once again, he needs to brake well before the shadow, I believe, over the track, and he does. And he gets it tucked in a little bit of drift there. So again, scrub just a slightly bit more speed off next time. Difficult late apex there, very late actually. And he gets himself going, right. Now I really do need to figure out how to start changing camera angles. So if I was to return to the garage, do I have to do this every time? I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. And Luke is the closest driver at the minute, but let's just test this there. So if I go here and do that, then I'm now with a different driver, but that is a bit of a, surely there's a better way to do it than that. There will be, and I'll find this all out for next time. In fairness, I'm going to keep riding on board with Luke, I think. But again, I'd be quite intrigued how to change back to the broadcast camera angle. All over the back of him, really all over the back of him, kind of offsetting himself. The two Audis, of course different teams, but the two Audi manufacturers going wheel to wheel there nearly. And the screech of those brakes is very impressive. That's going to keep me going for a little bit of time. And again, Luke making a mistake, drops it over the apex, over the curbs. And he struggles there to keep that in one piece. We've got support for Ivor in chat. We've got his teammate Davey, who can't be with us tonight, so I'm not entirely sure what that means for Ivor. Might be a long stint for him. He's dropped now 2.4 seconds to Danos. So let's take this opportunity to ride on board with Ivor as he sets out to close the gap on P4. I thought, who was ahead? Who was miles ahead earlier? Who still is miles ahead. He's 9.5 seconds behind. Number 57 is Kieran. Oh, and that's it. That's the mistake. Someone's made a mistake. I forgot who was leading. Was it Stubby who was leading, or Danos was leading? I think it was Danos who was leading, and he's made a mistake. So all of a sudden now, the battle for the lead is reduced to a few seconds. I've given the message to Jones for he to come and join us if he so fancies. So hopefully that will work. Let me just check, is this going to pick up me? Is it going to output me? It shouldn't do. Shouldn't be picking up any audio yet, so let's see what happens if Jones joins us. While his teammate Kieran is out there leading the race. Big margins. Luke's set a 34.4. Ivor a 35.5, so a second gap. Luke's going to extend the margin, but Ivor looks to have turn one wrapped up, possibly nicer than Luke. We're still unsure how he's getting on through that corner. But 6 laps into this race, the field is starting to spread, and Kieran will be having damage limitation at the minute, just while he tries to keep that gap to Luke in behind. And it's down to 3 seconds. That's still quite a hefty margin, to be perfectly honest. And it looks as though Inorganic has gone off. He's about to be lapped by the leaders. Kieran's past him. Luke's past him. Has Inorganic gone? Very, very cautious there by Ivor, dropping best part of 2 tenths through that corner, and there he is, Inorganic, off to the side of the road, passed by the entire field. DZ, I believe the tailors are Kieran and Inorganic. So young Kieran, premier commentator of McLaren, is in the number 57 Ferrari, and Inorganic, his dad, is in the 66 BMW in P6. So that's Kieran and Inorganic in the tailors in the Ferrari and the BMW. We've got Jones saying that Danos may have to have a double stint, and Quinn has some Quinn has some problems, right? So Danos might have to do both. And Kieran really extending that gap, still be having a bit of a nightmare as well. He finds himself only coming through turn 4 now. The rest of the field in a completely different sector.
Hello, Mr. Glassy.
Hello, mate. Let me just fix that, because I think that's going to come through twice. Yes, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good, mate. Now, before we go on, let me just listen to this in the stream.
Absolutely no problem.
I'm a little bit behind. Right, good stuff, mate. We are hearable. That's not a word. we can be heard.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. I've just
first
listened
of all,
to it back
mate,
as well.
First of all, give me your impressions on this. I mean, it's almost, well, it was your idea, and now it's come to life. So, how long has it been since you first thought about this, and now the day has come?
Well, to be fair, probably with the break week when we were organising some events with you. Yourself, like you'll know this, is that we floated the idea of doing something a bit different, GT race and ACC, and everyone seemed to love it. We've worked hard on the driver swap servers. I believe there's not many console servers that are able to do this. We're having a few technical issues with Quinn, unfortunately. I think it's a case of the car they have registered isn't matching up with the car that they should have been registering, which is a real shame. So I've been mostly trying to sort that out rather than actually engineering Kieran, but it looks like I should be keeping quiet for Kieran because he's going very well at the moment.
It is.
And yeah, for us at the moment, a lot of it is. I think we've got quite an aggressive setup on the rear end, so we're trying to manage the tyres at the moment, hoping to do. He's doing about 33s, 34s at the moment, so we're just trying to keep in that window. But Luke seems to be really getting to rhythm in the car behind now.
Well, he is. He had a few early incidents, particularly turn 1. You probably saw Kieran flying past him in the early, maybe round lap 2 or lap 3. But now he's the best part of 10 seconds ahead, so he's absolutely flying, and he's making your job a whole lot easier in the second stint.
Yeah, and I think Ivor also just want to notice Ivor, who's got the double stint. He's going to seriously get into a rhythm tonight, but he's doing some good times down there in third, and I think probably doesn't have the driver swap issue that some of us will have, and I know I'm a little bit nervous because Kieran's driving so well that I'll come in and just bin it. If you've watched me in F1, you'll know that's a distinct possibility.
Well, it is, mate. It's never off the cards. How does that work in practice then? Will Ivor still have to pit, or can he just stay out? He'll have to pit, surely.
Yeah, he'll have to pit. So these cars are carrying around about 110 litres of fuel. What we've calculated is we can get away with 95 for the perfect timing for the stop. Yeah, just to be safe. And so he'll definitely have to pit anyway, and he'll probably want to change tyres. The tyres probably go about an hour and a half, an hour 45. But obviously, if you've got a pro stepping into the car, you don't want to give them really worn old tyres because they won't be able to put the laps in, basically.
This is true. And do you have off the top of your head which pros are out on track at the moment?
So we've got Luke at the moment in second. Yeah. They did the driver swap at the end of qualifying. I believe the rest are but I'm a little bit surprised to see Stubby down there because Stubby was really quick in the practice server. But I think maybe fuel load. It's been very limited to what people are allowing other teams to do at the moment in terms of what fuel they're using, how the setups work, and it's very in depth. Yeah.
Let me just run this by you then, if you've got them on the top of your head. My assumptions are that Bakker is a pro driver with Lee, Colin will be with Stubby, Luke will be with DZ, and then Quinn, yourself, and Davey will probably do the pros as well, or is Kieran the pro in your team?
So Quinn is with Danos. You're right with that. Quinn is the pro, but Danos, I think he's going quite well. Unfortunate for Quinn tonight with the technical issues. Colin, is with Stubby, and then what was the other one you said there?
No, I was just running through the pros. So Bakker is the pro with Lee, with an organic.
Yeah.
Colin's the pro with Stubby, and then Luke with DZ, Quinn with Danos. Again, presuming Davey is the pro with Ivor, but he's not here. So
Davey's missing this week. Yeah.
And then yourself or Kieran, which of you are the pros of the
technically, I'm the pro, but as the week's gone on,
is that the case then, mate? Is that really the case? Right now, he's pulling off a professional performance.
It was during the sign-up. He's doing a lot of 33. He's just done a 33.9, I see, which is a very impressive lap round here, especially on a full tank of fuel. I think I'll be more in the 34s. I was the pro when Kieran had played the game twice. It's very quickly changing at the moment that we might need to change what category we're in.
Precisely, yeah. We'll soon see. Now, what's interesting here on track is it's heating up a little bit. There was quite a big gap, as you can imagine, with not too many cars on track. And all of a sudden, the friendlies in real life, we've got Danos making a move around the outside into that treacherous braking zone with a difficult chicane going alongside. And he hasn't forced Bakker off the track, but not Bakker, Ivor. Danos hasn't forced him off the track, but he's certainly picked up that place. So Danos steps up into P3, and Ivor has dropped down behind his mate into P4 as they head round the final corner before the chicane. to start lap 12, I believe. So position change there, and Kieran still 12.5 seconds clear now of Luke, who's just crossed the line.
Yeah, and well, yeah, Kieran's managing it. I'm seeing it as 6 seconds actually at the moment, getting slightly more nervous, but they seem to be matching each other punch for punch at the moment.
Have I got some incorrect data going on here? Ah, right. Why is that? Might be interval and gap times or something, but trouble is, one of them, I've noticed I got 2 timing sheets. One of them is live timings, but they clearly aren't right.
You know what that is? That's because you're sitting on 3rd place, so you're looking at the intervals of him.
Ah, 2 the gap, right, okay. But then if I go to the overall timing sheet, they only update by sector, so I'll have to keep checking them.
Yeah,
you're right.
I mean,
it's 5.6 seconds now, which is even better.
It's a learning experience for all of us. I know it'll be a learning experience when I end up backwards at pretty much every corner, like how to rejoin the track safely.
Yeah, and that turn 1 gravel trap is an absolute nightmare. Have you had much time for practice, or? I know you've done a few laps.
Yeah, I've done a few laps. I know the track fairly well. I know what to look out for, but I think my biggest problem around here is the chicane in the first sector. If you get that slightly wrong, because you're kind of trying to slide the car into that corner to get the right purchase on how you exit the corner. If you get it wrong, you'll get launched into the air by the second curb.
Yeah,
so that's and it's not a very long run to the barrier there. And obviously with this being an endurance race, and it's a lot of it's about managing the tyres, managing the race.
I agree there. Well, you don't have any suggestions about how I can do these camera angles, do you?
No, there is potentially something, yeah. So on the camera angles, I believe there's a way of cycling through. You might have to use your arrow keys.
Well, people keep suggesting arrow keys, but I don't understand how that's possible when I'm not on a PC. I'm on a laptop through OBS, but the game's all through my console.
I think there is a way of cycling through, because I was doing it.
Well, I can cycle through with R3, and that cycles through me bumper, cockpit, helmet, rear, chase, whatever else. But then as soon as I go on them, I can't go back to the broadcast sort of helicopter angles. I'm stuck to the car angle. And then in the same breath, I can't figure out how to switch driver without pressing start, returning to garage, picking another driver, pressing confirm, which gets, visually very messy. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, have a think and I'll come back, but Stubby is launching one up the inside of Danos, and Danos gets the switch back and make a little bit of contact, front right to rear left, and the Mercedes has got a similar traction. In fact, I think he's got better traction, and he's going to put himself up the inside of the final chicane. They're going to give each other just about enough room, and he hangs it around the outside, and Stubby in the Mercedes is up into P3 now, so Danos is having to chase that the rear end of the Mercedes, and I'm now looking to see how far back Ivor is. He's dropped 4 seconds on Danos to make that overtake. As you were saying.
Well, I was just going to say, I was trying to see, I think I did it on a replay actually. I think if you press pause and replay, but I don't know how far that's delayed by. I don't know if it's like iRacing where you can go live. But I was doing that, and if Colin's watching this back, I'm a bit scared that he'll hear this. In our practice session, I was doing it to try and see what the fuel load on Colin's car was on his dials at the front near the steering wheel. That's how secretive it's got. But you might be able to switch. I don't know if you can see the bottom menu there. You can switch through, and I don't know if it cycles live, but
no,
that's the way I was
managing it.
It
seems to stop at the point where you pause the game.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you, in all your wisdom as the commentary goat, can figure this out, Mr. Glassy.
I'm sure I can. And if not, I'll just have to do the method that I've got.
And I'm sure everyone's enjoying it.
In this case, unfortunately.
But I'll pop away now. I'll go and speak to Kieran for a second, and I'm sure some others will join you in just a short time.
Precisely, yeah. I'll get on to some other people and see if we can get them in a few laps' time. In the meantime, I'm going to try and figure out how to get this camera sorted. But thanks for joining me, mate, and we will speak soon, I'm sure.
Cheers, Mr. Glassy.
Good stuff. Enjoy your stint. Good luck, and we'll have eyes on you for a few laps when you come out. So no pressure there.
Please don't. I'll see you soon.
See you later. Right, so there's the first guy in and gone. I'm going to do some Googling. Oh, as we watch him, gone. Danos gone, loses it through the turn 2, 3, 4 section. And his friend Ivor says, I'll have that, and I'll come right back through. So let's pick up with another driver then. Stubby. Big gaps now all around the track. The best battle is really going to be the battle for P1. Somehow in organic, he's 2 laps down. He's been lapped again. That is very unfortunate. I thought he was somehow back in front of Kieran after dropping it earlier. Let's give Kieran some time though, and we'll keep an eye on that because he's driving very well at the moment. And I'm interested in this helmet cam actually. I'm interested to see the movement and see how people get on. Obviously this is the PS4 version of the game, so we don't quite have the frames and the quality that the PS5 the PS5 version has to offer. And Kieran can see those rear lights of his dad ahead. Taylor, not Taylor V Taylor, but he's soon going to be picking up more blue flags, is in organic. He's going to get blue flags and let him by, and he does, and he almost thinks about, he has to take to the escape road. I don't think he trusted that his dad wasn't going to get out the way there, and Kieran now puts a bigger gap between himself and Luke with having a car in between, and now Kieran's just got to be conscious. You can see Luke, he's lost a bit of time there I think, compromised through that chicane earlier on just as they exited the second sector. And he finds Luke now nearly within a second. Oh, and look at that. Kieran has made a similar mistake to Luke, and now we will definitely do the arduous process of riding on board with a new driver to see how he's going to get on in chasing down for the lead of the race. Jones better get himself back in the ear of Kieran and tell him to just remain calm, as look at that, Luke has got the exit. They're heading down the straight toward turns 5, maybe 6, a little left-hander, and then followed by a right through a little chicane, and Luke regains the lead of the race, having made mistakes early on in the tie, but 17 laps in, he regains the lead, and he sees Kieran in his rear-view mirror now. Yeah, apparently it's not ideal, according to Google. Well, actually, according to ChatGPT, it's not ideal. But once again here, let's go back, shall we? And we can take a look at how that move unfolded. Kieran makes a big mistake as he heads through the right-hander, which allows Luke the run, and he gets the run. And although Luke has the outside line, he carries the speed all the way past the bumper of the Ferrari, and the Audi steps himself inside and gets into the chicane all alone, not having to go 2x2 through there, safely as you do. And that is how Luke got himself up into P1, where he currently sits. And has built up a huge gap to Kieran in behind already. And the next battle is going to be with Stubby. So let's go to his angle. And watch as the Mercedes chases after the Ferrari. We're right on board for a few laps. We haven't done this yet. And hopefully the audio is good enough for it. And he's coming in. Perfect timing here. Stubby is coming in. Does this mean we're about to see our first driver swap? Colin is waiting in the wings. Let's see how this goes on then. Stubby gets the pit lane engager on in good time and comes into the pit lane then. Let's watch on and see how this goes. He moves over to the right hand side. His teammate will be waiting there shortly. Let's hope there's no technical issues. And we can see how Colin gets on. That's half an hour down for these drivers. 90 minutes to go. The Mercedes has stopped. Now let's see what happens here. It's been stationary for a while. Not sure how quick these times are expected to be. And it looks as though Stubby has continued out then. I'm not seeing a name change. Very aggressive coming to the pit lane there, absolutely on the limit almost. And he goes over the line, I'm sure that'll be okay. So, looks as though Stubby's come into pit. I'm not sure if he's changed the tyres now to then save Colin from having to have bad tyres later on. Jones alluded to me in chat earlier that the tyres can last about an hour and a half, which would go from this point on. So perhaps they want to take the tyres to their limit and they can bring Colin in so that he doesn't have to pit later on and he can just go on one long stint. We'll soon see how that unfolds. Now, 1, 2, 3, there's massive gaps. 11 chases 6, but is still so far behind Kieran. But the closest drivers, unfortunately, are all just around in Organic, who has been lapped a couple of occasions. Right, let's take another look at the chat, which I have not had my eyes on for a while. We've got 11 people in here, which is good, almost the same amount as First Division, which is ironic considering it's a Friday night. While there's been a lot of comments that I've missed Let's see, we've got Shaq in here, or we did. We've got Davey in here, supporting his teammate, who can't be with us tonight. We've got Jones's brother, telling him to get off the mic, telling him to learn how to drive. Fair enough, we'll see how his stint gets on. Yeah, Chris and Becca having a conversation there. And Mirko joining in, actually. I haven't seen him in chat before. And Becca enjoying the replays as well, which is good. Question marks going around about the fuel. Maybe Stubby was low on fuel, and DZ saying that he already pitted, which I must have missed at some point. And now he's apparently flying, so let's watch on with these laps. Let's see what his lap time is. He's currently on for a 1:31.1. So really gain some time. Not sure if he's on these fresh tyres or not. So wait and see what happens. Oh, and that was a little bit slow through there. That's going to have cost him. I'm going to go and join on with the pack down the turn 2, which will be with Ivor and Inorganic. Obviously Inorganic under blue flags. However, Ivor can see Kieran ahead. So what's happened there then? Has Kieran made a mistake, or has he also pitted? Because Luke is absolutely flying, and a little bit unsteady there from Ivor in the Ferrari. Oh, and look at that, he's off. Kieran has binned it. And just as we turned over to it, that's going to give Ivor a huge opportunity to take P2. He's going to set up the exit, surely. And Kieran's under pressure. He can feel it. He's going to have to give him the position, which he does. And Ivor also easily picks up P2. However, he and Luke cross each other on the other side of the pit wall, as Luke is already heading through turn 5 and away with the lead of the race, absolutely flying. We'll get the sector times shortly. I might be able to bring them to you now, actually. About a good 35 seconds off the pace for P2. So, again, I'm unsure if that is involving a pit stop or if that is involving a mistake. But at the moment, the Audi team of Luke and DZ absolutely flying. And that easy job that Jones was going to have has turned into a bit of a nightmare now. He has to fight for P3. He's in chat saying that they're struggling with a brake issue. So 40 minutes into this race, and the Ferrari team having issues with their brakes, which is obviously why Kieran is finding himself off-road more often than not over those last few moments. And we can see what happened there as we ride on board with Ivor. If you just look ahead there, you can see Kieran already off the track and rejoining. That just sets him off for a terrible run all the way down the straight. Now Ivor doesn't have the pace to catch up with him before the braking zone for the chicane, but the overspeed that he has, Kieran is under pressure. He doesn't want to brake too early, and he just ends up going straight over the gravel again, which completely offsets his run. And Ivor comes along for an easy pickup into P2. And that'll be all down to that brake issue that Jones alluded to. Let's see, more stuff coming in. Yeah, replays are going well, Smith. Glad you're appreciating them. It's actually a dead straightforward system. It'll be very easy to do for RPM. The only problem is when I'm also looking at your telemetry and thinking about what to bring up on the screen, it's going to be a lot to manage. So I'll have to pick and choose the moments to replay. But it's a lot easier to replay stuff in here because I'm literally just watching the race, which is always good. Down into the heavy braking zone we go then. And back down the straight, already through 25 laps around here and 45 minutes. Now, we would basically be closing in on a completion of an F1 race. Not that soon, it's normally about an hour and 20 minutes total from start to finish, and we've already been live for an hour. It's going to be a long old time. I do plan on probably taking a break a few minutes to go and stretch my legs and recharge the old doobsters, should we say. Jones back, reiterating those serious braking issues. Now, not to put the guy under pressure, but purely because I'm interested in seeing what is going wrong for this team. We can ride on with Kieran for a few laps. He finds himself all the way down in P5, and that is a serious braking issue. And that car is surely done for. I caught it just in time. That was a serious braking issue. And we will be able to go back to that in just a second as Kieran gets himself out of the trap. Let's see what happened there then. He came absolutely steaming around the corner and he puts the brakes on. You can see the lights, but the car just does not slow down and it goes careering off straight on into that tyre wall. And is he going to dive into the pit lane? Yes, he is. In he comes then. And, yeah. Oh, dear me. That is a severe braking issue. Can he give it a little throttle round in the pit lane? I don't know what this means. Getting feed through Jones that the brakes have indeed gone. And it might be a free position for the BMW team, the amount of damage that that Ferrari has picked up. I'm yet to see if this is I believe it will be an IRL issue with Kieran's physical brakes. It will be very annoying if you had brake failure in a virtual game where you're just trying to have a good time. And who is that? Driver swapping already. Oh, and he's been unable to stop inside the pit lane. And he just can't stop. He just has to go back out. That's very, very unfortunate. He should have like done a little wiggle or something and try to, you know, distance it down the pit lane. But that is going to be an issue. He might just have to snail it round. I'm not going to put him through any more suffering. Let's take a look at the track map. We've got the leader, car number 17, coming around turn 4. And P2 is coming through the final chicane, so the gaps are absolutely massive. But let's give Luke some screen time because he hasn't had too much tonight. Let's just ride on board as he gets on. Oh, and again, Luke struggling over that chicane. And doesn't that just sound mean, that Audi engine rattling down toward the final chicane, and he gets it slowed down. Keeps it in second, gets a good apex there. And runs nicely wide on the exit. And he is away as he crosses the line to start lap 28. We're getting some regulations in by DZ, who says pit stop not allowed before 50 minutes. And that's a question, but he's obviously got that in his mind somewhere. So that means in the next 5 minutes we could start to see some driver swaps. So I'll have to keep my eye on the track map to make sure that we don't miss any. Who is this in front of Luke? He's got his brother, I believe, in the other Audi. Yes, he does. Who will soon be under blue flag conditions. So Danos is already out of the car, and I'll give him a few laps to settle in with his teammate if he wishes, but I will also Bakker's going to join me, and then in time we'll get Danos in, who has just completed his first stint. Good evening, Mr. Bakker.
Good evening, Mr. Glass.
How are you doing, mate? Let me get out of this camera angle so we can actually hear you, and we can start. Yeah, so it's been fairly successful so far, apart from those issues that the what is it, the Ferrari team, is it? Yeah, the Ferrari team with Jones and Kieran are facing, and not the best start for your teammate either.
No, we had some issues getting temperatures in at the opening laps, causing some spins and losing lots of time. But he's in a nice rhythm now.
And you're going to come in and just save the day. I guess that's your plan. That's the best thing you can do.
I go in the next 10 minutes and try drive as quick as I can.
Exactly. Well, I'll give you some time, give you some screen time, and see how you get on in lap time comparisons. A question about the driver swap. DZ said, oh, it's been confirmed. Yes, okay. So every driver has to drive at least 50 minutes. And therefore, in the next 3 minutes, we could be seeing the first changes. Although, how come Quinn is already out and Danos has already come in? Does that mean they have to swap again before the end of the session?
No, today it doesn't, because unfortunately Davey couldn't make it. So Ivan needs to drive the full 2
so
hours.
the settings are off.
So
Okay.
it's not mandatory today to drive at least 50 minutes.
Okay, that makes more sense. Well, they've made that change anyway, so Quinn is set now for presumably an hour and 10 minutes. Another question, can they switch again, or is it one switch only?
Now you're mandatory to do one, but you can switch again if you want.
But obviously that's going to be pit time lost, so maybe not. In which case Quinn has one hell of a drive on his hands, so I'll be sure to give him some lap time. So what's your plan then? Have you done much practice, or are you just sort of going in and hoping for the best?
I've done loads of practice.
Oh, very good, very good. I expect big things.
Well. Don't expect too much.
Well,
it's not. It's kind of hard. I found it myself kind of hard because, of course, we need a setup that suits us both.
Of course.
So I will make a little tweaks while boxing.
And will that cost some time?
It costs us a little bit more time, yeah.
Okay,
but not too much.
Yeah,
I think I can make up pretty much
with a better setup, I guess.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you've got a big mountain to climb. I'm not sure how many laps in Organic is down. I think it might be 1 or 2.
He's still 1 lap down on Quinn at the moment.
Okay.
And, well, on our schedule, I'm going to do 46 laps. So,
Wow.
I need to drive my ass off tonight.
Absolutely. And what about the tyres? Are you going to change the tyres when he pits, or are you going to come in and get...
Yeah, we're going to go for a new set. This set is not going to make it, especially not after the spins we had in the opening laps.
Of course, yeah, of course. Well, I'm still getting the grips with all of this spectator thing. It's not too clear. The timesheet isn't that clear when the cars are so spread out. But I'm just going to chop over to Stubby, who looks like he's closing in behind Ivor. So challenging for P2. He actually nearly sends it up the inside of that chicane, but he thinks better of it and holds out for what he's got. So these two drivers are right
Yeah,
on
I've
each other's
been
tails.
watching the race from here as well. So. But
Yeah, very
I'm now
interesting.
going to make ready for my stint anytime soon.
Absolutely, mate. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm going to try and get Danos in and speak to him about
All
his
right.
stint, the first completed driver in. So, yeah, thanks for joining me.
Enjoy the rest of the race.
Absolutely, mate, and good luck. I'll give you a bit of,
Thank you.
screen time.
Thank you.
Time. Good luck, mate.
Bit of screen time. Thank you. See you later.
See you soon. Oh, and he's forced Ivor wide there. Well, he hasn't forced him wide, but Ivor's gone wide. So Stubby picks up that position. And now the Mercedes is up into P2. And Inorganic is gone again, just as Bakker said he was going to pick up his stint. He is gone. And it looks as though, yeah, it looks as though two cars have gone off track there. Luke is going to lap the whole field eventually. He's not too far away. I mean, he's still half a circuit behind, but, sorry, half a circuit ahead. But it's not as bad as you might think. And all of a sudden, who's that? Oh, Kieran, yeah, really struggling down there. I think their race is done. They are many, many, many laps down. I'm not even sure what Jones can do about that kind of recovery. Drops it just a little bit deep there, Stubby, but he keeps it going nonetheless. And now again, obviously the Audi of Quinn has... that's a bit confusing having the both brothers in the Audis but for different teams, but nonetheless we'll forget. They're obviously a lap down, but they've made their driver swap already. So we could find them battling with the other Audi team, if not the Mercedes team, once all these changes have been made and we are past the threshold. So we can soon expect to see some driver changes. In fact, Kieran is in now. Let's just see what's going to happen with this. And is Jones going to take over and do some driving? Or is that them retiring from this session? Let's just watch for a minute or so and see what happens. I'm still not sure if this is a physical issue or if this is an in-game issue. If it is, if it's more of a pedal issue for Kieran, then Jones could get away with it. And it looks as though he's in control. But on my timing sheet, it still says Kieran. Let's have a look at the times in the race. Again, I just kind of want to see. I don't want to see it with interval times. I just want to see it all lap times. In fact, this isn't even lap times, this is just total time, which is sensational. It's exactly what you want to see. So, the name hasn't updated there. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. It looks like they've got the brakes back, but it still says that it's Kieran driving. I'm not too sure, unless the brake issue has been fixed. Let's see. Brakes are fixed now. Serving a penalty. Driver change will be soon, and the issue was in game. Interesting. So the game has really shafted them, and they are down many laps. As Jeremy might say, many poos. 7 laps down. I'm not sure if that's going to level itself off at all when other people pit, but Kieran still has to come in. And Jones is going to have the best part of an hour to do what he can inside that Ferrari. Luke still leading as he heads round to turns 8 and 9, I believe they are. In fact, I'm going to get this up just to be sure. Let's have a look. Yeah, that was right. Turns 8 and 9. And then turns 10. Maybe that's not quite right, actually. An extra chicane there. Oh, and who passes there? Oh, yes. Blue flags for Stubby in P2. Good thing the brake failure didn't come back there. Otherwise, Kieran would have been straight into the back of him. I would be very hard pressed to try and name some of these corners. Turn 1 is called Eastert. Turn 2 is Sterrenwacht Bocht. I'm going to get butchered by, I assume this is all a mixture of like German and Belgian, but it's not too dissimilar to Dutch, I wouldn't imagine, so I'll probably get it in the comments. Kanalbocht. Lucien Bianchi Bocht. Is Bocht Corner, perhaps? And these are like names of people. Lucien Bianchi, perhaps. The Clean Chicane. The Sacramento Shelling. The Butt. And the Villeneuve Chicane. The Telamenboch. And the Boulderbergboch. the Boulderbergboch. I'm going to have to stop there because they are an absolute mouthful. And Kieran goes through turn 1, gets the drifters out, and sticks it in there. 10 viewers, which is good to see. If we can hit 15 somehow, that would be good. But late on a Friday night, I don't expect too much. It's good that we've got some people in nonetheless. And Bakker is on track. So, we're still waiting on many other changes, but I will get Danos involved shortly, and we will ride on board with Bakker for the time being in that lovely BMW. I haven't actually ridden on board with Inorganic, I apologise for that. But we get the teammates in nonetheless, and Bakker head through the chicane for one of the first times. And I believe the scores in the corner refer to their team's time because he had a 2:43 last lap, which suggests that that was inorganic pitting. So this could well be Bakker's first proper lap, and we'll see how he gets on. In fact, I think it's a pit exit lap, so we'll watch on and see how the time changes. A 1:34.9 was what I guess is Inorganic's best lap. So we'll see how much time Bakker can take out of those lap times. And 11 is coming in. Ivor is coming in to presumably change tyres. He has to make that mandatory pit stop, and he's going to do it now. It would be swapping with Davey, who isn't here. So it's a full stint for Ivor, who holds on to P2 for now. And now Bald is in. The Mercedes switch. Colin is in the driver's seat for the Mercedes. Let's ride on with Bakker, who is immediately, look at that time he's picking up. Immediately picking up time out of turn 2, turn 3. And we'll soon catch Colin. And that is Ivor coming out of the pits now. And who's that? 54 and 17. The two brothers right by each other, but it's going to be under blue flag conditions. However, I am quite interested to see how Luke handles getting past his brother when the blue flags are out. So let's see what happens. Oh shit. Oh, I nearly made a big mistake there. We're okay. We're okay. Danos. Okay. Let's see if we get anybody in. And that is Luke in the pit lane. So the leader pits then. And as he's sped in the pit lane there, he slowed down an awful lot. I'm not sure if that counts as speeding in the pit lane, but he's dropping time here. Oh, and he's just spawned in the pit lane. So let's ride on with Colin then. As he sets out for his first few laps, having switched with Stubby, who I will also try and get on sooner rather than late. Let's see what Danos says first. Colin then. He sets off on what will be his first flying lap. And it looks like, just like that, they've taken the lead over the Audi team as DZ steps into the car. Change still not made. Not sure if there's some setup tweaks going on there. Still stationary, and it looks as though the brothers are going side by side, and let's hope they've just given each other the space. Who is it close by there? Here it is. It's Ivor, or is it still Ivor? Actually, I'm not entirely sure. It will be Ivor actually, yeah, because of course his teammate isn't here, so they get past each other. And in fact, I think Bakker is unlapping himself there. He's fought for the position to unlap himself, and Ivor has the right to take that position. Realistically, if Bakker, oh look at that big chicane there by Bakker. If Bakker's the faster driver, he's got every right to take the position back and effectively ignore the blue flags. However, that also means that Ivor's entitled to take that position back legitimately under blue flags. So Bakker really has to put his foot to the floor now and crack on with things and make a gap that that Ivor cannot get. And look at that, a mistake. Drops it coming out of the chicane. Let's just go back and catch that one more time as he slowly applies the throttle. He runs, just dips the tyre in there, and he just oversteers, immediately sliding, taking that tyre board out with him. But he keeps it in a straight line, thankfully. He got away with it. Having some technical issues again between the Audi drivers, Luke and DZ, struggling to get the driver swap completed. So I believe Luke is going to have to come back out. And who is this? All of a sudden, behind Ivor, it is Luke. It looks like he's got a bit of damage on that front bumper, but these drivers going wheel to wheel, and Ivor almost says, go on mate, you go through, I don't want this beef. And Luke hasn't, oh yes he has, Luke has regained P3. Or is that Quinn? That may well be Quinn. Yes, it is Quinn in the red Audi. So, a disaster. The lead changes hands again because of this issue that Luke is facing. Is that still him in the pit lane, or has he come back out? I think he's come back out and he's going to go in again. 57. Jones is exiting the pit lane for his stint. He's going to have 55 minutes of racing. to do what he can to salvage these positions. But the action happening now toward the front. Evening to you too, Higgsy. It's gone okay. We've had a few technical issues, some brake issues, some early issues which sort of spread the field out a little bit. And then unfortunately Luke tried to box there, but he couldn't. Or was it Quinn? Quinn tried to box. No, it was Luke. Luke tried to box and he couldn't get out of the car, so they've lost the lead. And have they left the server? They've left the server, so that is one team gone. We're now down to only 5 drivers on the track, and 54 is chasing 66, who is lapped. 77, the leader, is in a league of his own. Colin now absolutely flying round. And they're back. Is it going to be this time with DZ? Let's see which name pops up. Number 18, it will be the Audi team. So they've managed to get themselves back into the session, into the pit lane, but that's going to be disastrous. From going from leading the race to being what will be 3 laps down. It's still Luke in that driver's seat. However, we are going to ride on board with Jones and watch some of his early laps from the onboard. You guys can enjoy this. Okay, so next in the comms box is going to be Stubby, who I haven't spoken to in a little while, but he's going to join us so he can run us through his race and how things went. And now with his teammate leading the race, hopefully that'll be positive signs for him. So I'm going to back on to Mr. Colin, who leads the race by some margin over Quinn, I believe. And it somehow says that Luke is 40 laps down, so something's gone very, very wrong in that driver swap. Yeah, and they're struggling down there big time. Meanwhile, we've still got quite a big gap separating second and third, but there's the closest guys out on track. We've been joined by Stubby. Hello, mate. Do you hear me?
Good evening.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Yeah, mate. It's been a while. I've just been saying I haven't spoken to you for some time, so good to hear those voices again, mate. Good to hear that voice again.
Good to hear you too.
So how was that? I mean,
Everything
you can see your teammates smashing it at the minute, leading the race, but he's picked up from what you've left him. So you had a good start and a good stint.
I had a good start. My start was with 9 laps of fuel, so that's why the first pit stop was.
Ah, very good. Okay. And was that intentional? Just sort of really quick laps?
No,
to
it
begin with,
wasn't.
or-
I lowered the fuel for quali to do a low fuel run on quali, but didn't add the fuel back. So that's shit.
Right. Yeah, well, it's the learning curve of this game. Obviously, different to some of them that we are used to.
It is, and I threw in 40 laps of fuel, and then my fuel consumption was like 3 laps of fuel per lap. So fuel
Really?
management is a thing.
Okay, yeah, so you really have... Yeah, exactly. It looks like it's a thing on the F1 games, but realistically it isn't. Whereas here, you have to be really careful not to give it too many beans and just sort of guide it around the track. But you went well.
Yeah,
I caught a few overtakes and a few moves and a few mistakes going on around you. But it looks like we've had quite a few technical issues up and down the field. So thankfully, you guys seem to be okay, and Colin should be able to bring it home.
True. I'm glad Colin is leading.
Absolutely, and you'll be back. Well, I guess the plan is for you to race most Fridays, so I'm not sure what next week is for you guys. Let me check that now.
No, not next week. I think
Brands Hatch.
Brands Hatch.
Yes, on the 26th, which is next week. So we'll see how
It
many
is.
guys turn up for that. Have you done much Brands Hatch before?
Yeah, I did a few laps last week. It's a difficult track, especially in the rain.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm not sure what the conditions are set to. Could it rain?
Don't know actually.
Yeah, that'll be entertaining if it can. And it looks as though, unfortunately, there, Luke and DZ have left the session again. That's the second time they've left.
Again?
So I think they're having driver swap issues. Maybe a lack of awareness by Luke. Maybe he doesn't know how to do it, but we'll soon iron those out for next week.
I guess you have to check
5 cars on track.
really you have to check really good. It's a small menu it's actually a big menu with many things on it.
Yeah, and they've obviously got that wrong, unfortunately. But anyway, I'm glad to be here commentating. I'm having a few issues with the game, but I think that's more of a game problem. We've got a nice little replay system going on, which is working well, so I'm catching the action and rolling it back.
Oh, that's nice.
A new feature for F1, which will be good. And are you with Colin, or are you just going to watch on? Is he just cracking on his own, or are you in a
I'm
group with
probably
him?
gonna watch on.
Yeah, but he's just driving on his own, which is fair enough. I think a few of the guys will be talking away with one another, but Colin likes to get down to business and just crack on.
True.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you joined me, and I'm glad that you're having a successful opening round. And I do like watching the Mercedes, especially the livery, a really nice white and blue livery. I like this a lot, so it's a nice car to see leading the race.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff, mate. I'll catch you soon, I'm sure.
Catch you soon.
And good luck in RPM Normal next week, if you're there, for Jeddah.
Thanks. Good luck with the stream.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Will do. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so that's another driver down. We've had quite a few in so far. I'm going to give it a few laps, and then I'm going to get Kieran in. Now, what's happening with these timing sheets here? I'm not seeing sort of any reference. If we spectate Quinn, maybe we'll then see how far away he is. So Quinn is really quite far behind in P2. And the car 11 is also equally as far behind, and then and 12 is in the pit lane, 17 is also 12, 17 in the pit lane, 57 Jones coming through turn 1. So now it's really just a case of spectating these guys as they go around. I'm going to ride on with Bakker as he is next to get on board. He's very close in behind Luke, or Quinn, sorry, in P2. And I'll once again check the chat, see if I've missed anything. Let's see. Luke and DZ not happy. I'll get Luke in shortly. 1 second, let me just get Kieran in next because he has been waiting. And I will get Kieran in now. Ready when you are. And for Kieran's sake, we will. Well, should we leave this battle? That's not even a battle. Let's ride on board with Jones, who's number 57. He is heading round turn 1 as we join him. Kieran will be with us shortly. He'll be helping out his teammate, I'm sure, who's putting in some decent times, 33.3, and he's up on his best. He's got a good exit there, and he's carrying 2/10 through the chicane. Let's see what happens to the time. He brakes well, he brakes later. Gets a worse exit, however, and he's losing time up the hill until he reaches the braking zone. He's going to have gained it, though. He's picking up more time. He's half a second up, and he's flying for the second sector, and we've been joined by Kieran. Good evening, mate. How's it going?
It's going good. I know could have been better for me, but I think we've learned. Where it went wrong and how we can improve next time.
Yeah, you'll have to talk me through this because I was watching on. Unfortunately, I did capture on stream and did you the credit of showing you a replay of you careering straight into the barrier at the end of the straight and then trying to get yourself back out. So was that an in-game failure, or was there a problem with your pedals at home? What went wrong, and did you start noticing it? Did it all just go at once?
Yeah, it was the brakes were starting to overheat. Like at the front they were all red, so like no matter how much I pressed on the brake pedal, it just weren't stopping, and then which sent me into the barrier a couple of times, and then when I tried pitting, because the brakes weren't working, I just drove past the pit box and straight out.
I did catch that as well. Unfortunately, I was interested in seeing how the brake failure went, and it's interesting to know that. Oh, and someone's in the wall. Is that Quinn? Quinn is just careered off at turn 5, and he's into the wall. So what does that mean? That promotes Ivor, I think, into P2 and Bakker perhaps into P3. So the BMWs, after a disastrous start, have actually turned out in quite a good way. Anyway, yeah, so I guess you were just giving it too much. I guess the learning for next time is that you can overheat the brakes. So maybe you were giving it too much in the opening laps and letting them overheat. So maybe think about what would it be, the balance, the bias for next time, and see how Jones gets on.
I don't know. I think it might be Jones said might be in a setup.
Yeah.
Put like too much on the
front brakes.
And the front brakes as well.
Yeah.
Because my tires were overheating as well.
The tires,
the tires were very orange and yellow.
Oh god, just everything wrong. Oh, Jones in the gravel at turn 1 there, nearly dropped it. He's kept it going though. He's lost some time. Do continue.
Yeah. I remember earlier in the race, John said that like when we was at the far back, that if we can get a P5, that'd be happy days. And now we're up to P4, which I think done a brilliant job so far.
Well, absolutely. I mean, there's still plenty of time to go. Still 40 minutes remaining, and really, and he goes straight over the chicane there. I'm not sure if that's going to be a slowdown. Do you know how the penalties work here? And if you were to cut straight over a chicane, does it just ask you to slow down, or is it like F1 where it'll eventually give you a time penalty?
Well, I know about coach asking me about the penalties because it was just every chicane my brakes
Yeah.
kept going. And I had problems with my pit limiter. I think my buttons aren't mapped correctly because the button that is meant to be pit limiter isn't.
So it just didn't enable, and you just sped through the pit lane and couldn't slow down.
And yeah, my wheel was a problem as well. Like literally during the race, my wheel was upside down just to turn straight.
Oh dear, that's to do with damage, I imagine.
Yeah, the damage was bad. It was terrible, but it's a learning curve.
Precisely, yeah. And I've heard the same from Stubby. He said it's a big learning because things can actually overheat in this game as opposed to for F1, which is quite straightforward to drive. So you'll have to adjust the setup for next time. Think about the brakes and the tyre pressures and try again. But it looks like it's going okay so far, and a P4 is on the cards. Bakker hasn't made a mistake yet, so if he does, well, I mean, actually no, you're quite a few laps down, but you never know. Seems like every other team has had big issues, so if the BMW team have another one, then Jones could snap up that podium place. But as it stands,
Still 40 minutes to go.
P4 is not too bad.
Yeah, I think I have the pace. I think because I was like, I made a great overtake on Luke at turn 1. I'm hoping you caught that.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, at least something good was caught on stream. But I think pace. If we can just sort out the tires and brakes, we can. And the pace is there. We can get for some good results.
Yeah, well, I'm watching Jones now. I think he might be having some brake issues because he's braking very early, which tells me he's having to take it into the corners quite steadily. He's sort of on and off the brakes, taking it easy, and he's got Quinn right up behind him. However, I think he's under blue flags, and Quinn steps out to the outside. He hasn't quite got the speed to get by. Well, he has actually. Jones has let him through under blue flags. No contact given there between the two of them. And now Jones has got a car to follow in a bit of dirty air. Maybe give him a chance to get his brakes cooled down. Anyway, Kieran, so next week, Brands Hatch. Have you done much around there, or is that a new track for you to try and learn?
I've done laps around there, know the circuit and all that.
Good.
I'm just hoping you can be in a much better situation than this one.
Exactly. Well, I think it will be a lot more competitive next week, hopefully, with people learning from their mistakes. So, hopefully, a closer field. But when cars do battle... Oh, and Jones has just hit the curb, and he nearly careered off into the barrier. He's not going to lose a position, but he has lost down to another car. And that may well have been 55. That was Luke going round again. Somehow it tells me that he's 50 laps down, which I don't quite believe. But still hasn't done a driver swap, so I'm not entirely sure if they're going to get that done before the end of the session. But they carry on nonetheless. Right, well, cool. Thanks for joining me. And I'll probably make this a regular thing if there's going to be drivers swapping in and out. So it's been good to speak to everybody so far, and I'll get a few more guys in before the end of the session. So good luck for next week, and also for Premier next week as well. Which is so not Premier, sorry, but RPM next week. Jones is in. He's coming into the pits. I wonder what's going on there. We'll watch and see what happens.
Yeah, I think he was trying to manage his brakes and tyres.
Well, you can go and give him the finest engineering that I'm sure he tried to help you with there as well. So it's good to see people working together. I think most of the teams are doing something together. So yeah, if you're going to go back to him, I'll let you do that, and I'll not take up much more of the team's time.
Okay.
Okie dokie, mate. Good stuff. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Right,
Bye.
see you later. See you later. Right, so Jones pulls through the pit lane. He's going to pull up outside of his garage. This time he has brakes. Now I'm wondering what this is for. Tyres perhaps, or maybe that damage. The underside of the car could be damaged off of that jump. Let's see. Anybody else? who we need to speak to. Try to get as many people in as we can. I'm going to tick them off who have we had. So, spoke to Jones. Right, so I'm going to get a few more drivers in shortly, but for the time being I'm going to take us back to that incident with Jones, which came, I believe, just here. Yes, let's see what went wrong for him here. He made his way down the back straight. He had the car in front of him. It may have blocked his braking point ever so slightly. And heavy on the brakes, he just completely misses the first apex. In fact, does he even... I'm not even convinced he really hits the sausage curb. I think the game has maybe just catapulted him a little bit aggressively there. But he carried on and he's come into the pit, got himself back out on track, and is about to finish that lap to start another hot lap. Right, so we're still trying to target Danos and Inorganic to give us some words, so we'll see if they join us, and if we get Lee, then that'll be the BMW and the Ferrari drivers all said and done. And then maybe we can get a hold of some of the current drivers as Jones once again flies over the same chicane. This time it doesn't catapult them across the track. So again, a little bit of an inconsistency there. And there aren't too many drivers close together. Who's that? 55 is Luke, driving closely behind his brother, but no battles there. Colin is coming around the final chicane with Ivor, number 11, in P2. So, for the sake of Inorganic, if he decides to join us, let's ride on board once again with Bakker and see how he is getting on. Just over half an hour remaining here, 10 to 9 here in the UK, and 33 minutes to go in this round 1 of RPM Season 1 ACC. In this endurance style race, we've got 6 teams, 6 drivers, or 6 teams, 12 drivers, and 6 drivers on the grid. No sign of DZ yet though. That must be a driver swap issue. It's okay this session because Dave is missing, but as we heard from Bakker earlier, if every driver is here, then the settings will mandate a change, in which case next week Luke will have to make sure that he understands how to make a driver change. Oh, okay, Luke's just told me that that is in fact his teammate driving, so DZ is now in the car, but the name is all wrong on screen. And we've been joined by an Organic. Good evening, mate. How's it going?
Hello, mate. Not too bad. A bit of a disaster on my stint, gotta say.
Yeah, well, I had my eyes on now and again, and it just seemed like, what was it, maybe cold temperatures, cold car, you just couldn't get the grip? It was very early days, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just a couple of times I hit the curb, and it just really unsettled the car. I was kind of hoping I would have had a better stint, but yeah, a couple of times just hit the curb a bit wrong, and just lost the back.
Yeah, we caught a few of it, a couple of clips on stream, fortunately, but unfortunately for you. And it just kind of set you on the back foot from the start. I've just seen there, I believe your teammate Bakker has just picked up a drive-through for having too many track limits warnings, so he's going to have to enter the pit lane within the next 3 laps. and it shouldn't affect the standings because Jones also has a drive-through and they are several laps behind. So, although you had a pretty poor start, it looks like everyone else has had similarly different issues, but similar problems time-wise, and it looks like you're going to secure this podium.
I mean, all I can say is that's down to Backer. That is. I was all right once I was in the when I was in the zone. It just took me a while to get in there. It was just a couple of silly mistakes. Luckily enough, didn't damage anything to the car. So, and I didn't use as much petrol as what we thought we were going to use. Mm-hmm. So I think our pit stop was a bit quicker. But yeah, Backer's on a flyer.
This is much more of a technically challenging game. I mean, a lot of the drivers have already come in here and alluded to, you know, different to F1, the fact that tyre pressures and brakes and setup and all the things you've just talked about, fuel loads, all have a massive impact. I mean, Kieran's issue with no brakes was purely he fried the brakes, and that's obviously a learning thing, but that's impossible to do on F1. And he quite literally lost functionality of the brakes. So it's little things like that where you've got to be really conscious about how fast you're trying to lap. Are those things that you've noticed, or things that you're going to try and take into account for next week?
Yeah, it's. I mean, the one thing I want to do was not spin, but not do any damage to the car. Pit stops in this can take a long time. Yeah, I probably got caught out with the full fuel tank in the back of the car, which made the back a bit twitchy. But yeah, keeping an eye on the tyres, you've got to do that, and the temperature. Yeah, fuel. Obviously, working out then how much fuel you're going to need for the second stint on the driver swap. It's a lot more demanding than F1. You've really got to
stay sharp. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've been asking everyone, Brands Hatch next week, obviously, well, not many of these circuits aside from Spa are we familiar with, so have you had a chance to do a few laps around there, or are you going to try and prepare ahead of next week, or are you just going to send it on the day and see what happens?
Well, I have done a few laps round Brands Hatch, not in the BMW, so I'll have to try and get some laps round in the BMW. Not too bad Brands Hatch, but Zolder, I mean, I've done so many laps on Zolder, and yeah, it still kind of caught me out. Even like the single player is completely different to unload online.
What handling wise?
Yeah, because obviously, you know, the fuel and everything, because you've got so much extra weight in the back, and I think that's what was catching me out, hitting them curbs, and it just took the weight. Yeah, it's
so perhaps a change where you could adjust the car in single player to match these conditions a little bit better, and that might help.
I think driving lessons, I think, would probably help.
Okay, fair enough, mate. Well, hopefully, as you get used to the team, used to the car, particularly because obviously they're all handled differently, hopefully we'll see more consistent racing. Obviously, it's been fun to set this up and have a look back over some of the incidents, but you know, the spread that we have across the field, I don't think anybody is in the same lap as another driver, ironically, so very, very spread out. We've got a couple of packs emerging, but obviously they're going to be under blue flag, so it's not going to be too much racing. And Backer, just as I say that, he's gone through turn 5, kept it on the road, but dropped it, and he's lost a few seconds there. He's down 3 seconds on his best time.
Yeah, I just caught that. I think obviously another thing, like we said earlier, with the brakes, overcooking the brakes. There's so much that comes into it than F1. It's a steep learning curve, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and hopefully we can get some more drivers on board.
Exactly, mate. Well, that is why I'm live, to try and get the interest up. So I will. Oh, in fact, I'm just going to stay with you for one more minute because Bakker's just passed Ivor, I believe. He's got himself back in front. Now that's sort of reverse blue flags. Ivor is ahead, but Bakker's got the pace, so he said I'll have that back, and he's got some free air to drive into. So, yeah, thanks for joining me. We've had pretty much half the grid. We've spotted Jones, Bakker, Kieran, Stubby, and now yourself. So I'll get Luke in and try and get Colin in as well at some point. But yeah, thanks a lot, and we'll try and keep this up for next week, and maybe we can do the same again. So good luck in First Division on Tuesday. I'll be back on that as well this week. Another tough circuit there. Completely different challenge.
Yeah, not looking forward to that one neither. So, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, no bother, mate. Thanks for coming. Good stuff. I'll speak to you soon.
Speak to you later, mate. Bye.
See you later. See you later. Right, so Bakker ventured across the grass once again there. But this time he's kept it on the road, and I'm not sure if he's ignored that drive-through or if he can just get on with that now. He might have to come in for that sooner rather than later, and all the cars are split. Jones is in the pits again. Perhaps he's overheated the tyres slightly there, and I am hearing a Luke.
Do you hear me?
I have, mate. I do. Hello.
Okay, hello.
Long time, mate. How have you been?
Yeah, it went well up until the pit stop phase, you could say.
Yeah, you'll have to talk me through this. I caught the sort of move into turn one that you had at the very start, took the lead, and then you seemed to be struggling going into turn one under braking for maybe 2 or 3 of the opening laps. And that's something that you obviously got a hold of, and it was going quite well. I'm not sure where you ended up when it all went wrong with the pit stop. But what was that? Was that a menu issue? Was that you not understanding the way to do it, or was there a bug in the game somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we talked about, we did a driver swap in qualifying, so we knew how the system worked, how the menu looked and stuff, and it worked. And then I came into the pit lane and just no menu popped up. So the only thing it did is I couldn't even change the fuel, just the tires. So I was a bit surprised. And then I thought, well, maybe it's just an issue. We'll do it next lap again. And then it didn't tell me anything. So we tried something different, and I just quit the session, hoping, karting could get in. But then it still put me in, and then it said I had the mandatory pit stop. And then when I came in, I could change the menus because I knew how it worked. But it was very weird. And then eventually karting got in, but. I saw my brother disconnect, and I did too at the same moment. So I think there was maybe some issues with connection and stuff, but it was very disappointing. We were doing at a difficult start, but after that we're doing very well. So.
Well, yeah, I mean it's the same as what I've been hearing. To be honest, I think everybody in their own way has had their own issue. I mean, some of it was car related. For example, Kieran's brakes fried, and he lost complete brake performance, so their car was completely damaged, and now Jones is trying to recover what he can, and the same with you there. And then Inorganic had trouble in the opening laps with temperatures, couldn't really keep it on the road, and couldn't get the car up to temperature because he kept making these little mistakes. So everybody really, aside from the Mercedes team, who are now flying ahead 2 laps clear of P2, everyone else has suffered at least some mistakes. Ivor's been off the road a few times and unfortunately has to do the whole session himself, so he'll be struggling now in the final 20 minutes, having raced for an hour and 40 minutes already. But not too bad. I mean, it's a learning curve, isn't it, compared to Formula 1. I'm not sure how prepared you were for this, but there's a lot of differences in sort of feeling and tyres and temperatures and brakes, so definitely more of a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, karting did well on the setup, and it felt good. But I do enjoy this type of racing, and Zolder was one of the better tracks for me. I mean, I enjoy this track. But yeah, it's much more difficult, and especially I feel like with turning in, the car is so much more. Yeah, it's moving much more in the corners, a bit more unpredictable than F1. But on the other hand, I feel like these cars are they are fun to drive. So yeah, I do enjoy the challenge.
And it's Brands Hatch next week, so any thoughts on that? Have you had a chance to practice, or are you still just going to wait until... Well, really, it's tough, because do you practice for Premier, do you practice for this, or do you just go with one and do what you can in either one?
Yeah, so, well, Premier is almost done, but on the other hand, yeah, I finish school next week on Wednesday, and then afterwards, holidays, you could say.
Of course.
So, enough time to practice. Oh, as my teammate does a trip through the grass, or the
I
gravel.
missed that. I will find that, because Bakker just did the exact same thing.
But yeah, I have done Brands Hatch before on this game, but that's been quite some time ago. So I think next week Friday I will practice
Yeah, a few laps.
a bit.
And do you have to
Because-
sort of communicate with your teammate there to find the right setup? You said DZ was sort of responsible for coming up with that, so are you just inputting where you can, or are you sort of leaving that up to him?
Yeah, but I know he knows a lot about setups and stuff, so I trust him. And then what I do is do some practice laps, and I feel like if I have a stable car, we just agree on it, and then it feels alright. Because I'm a noob in setups, and I mean F1 I know something about setups, but here it's completely different. So
Absolutely.
I just let him do the setup thing, and it works well. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you've just watched him have a couple of trips, couple more trips through the gravel there. Turn 1, your nemesis,
Yeah.
he ended up in the gravel, kept it facing in the right way. But it's has been a fall from grace, unfortunately. Hopefully next week we will have a little bit more competition around the track. As I've been saying, no driver is in the same lap as another driver. Everyone's is on a different lap to one another. So hopefully we can tighten that field up for next week and avoid these issues.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if DZ's in a party waiting for you, but I'm going to try and catch a couple other guys, because I've gone through half the grid. I'm going to try and get Danos, and maybe I'll try for your brother, actually, if he's done.
All right.
And see if I can get those guys
Good
in
job.
before the end
And
of the race.
good luck on the comms.
Yeah, cheers. There's been a few issues, but my capture card is back to normal, so I can start doing Tuesday nights as I used to as well, which is good.
All right.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. I'll speak to you soon, hopefully, and good luck for Thursday. And,
Yes, thank you too.
Yeah, good stuff. I'll catch
Alright.
you soon. Okay, see you later, mate. See you. Okay, so another driver down, and we are riding on board with, unfortunately, DZ, who finds himself in P6, many laps down. At least he's got it through turn 1 there. All right, I'm going to drive with Bakker, not Bakker, with Ivor, because he's not going to catch Colin, is he, unless there's a mistake, but, you know, he's going well in P2. He's going to finish off this hefty stint, and it's great for him. I'm not sure if he's pitted yet, but it looks like he's got a huge gap. In fact, I'm going to drop down to, I'm not sure which cars this is actually. We've got two cars very close together. We've got Quinn. I believe that's Quinn. Yes, who's chasing down Bakker, albeit under blue flags. We've got cars moving out the way. That's Jones, who is 12 laps down, moving out the way. But these two guys wanting to keep up the fight, even though there's nothing giving. Realistically, Jones should have just got his elbows out and thought, well, we're all going to finish in the same positions anyway, so have a little bit of fun and battle on tracks. We've got some cars racing side by side once again, which is always good to see. So we need DZ's driving, Dennis is not available, Quinn is driving, Ivor's driving. So we're just going to have to speak to Colin, I guess, at the end of the race, and that will round off all but 3 of the drivers, or 4 of the drivers. So it's been decent to have them with us. And it has gone quite quickly, albeit a much longer session than we're used to in RPM. We're into the final 15 minutes of this race, and I think for a large portion of that stint I'm just going to follow on with Colin as he brings us across the line to finish We're on lap 55 of this race, which is effectively Grand Prix distance. I mean, well, it is Grand Prix distance more than, really. So it's very good to see RPM taking this leap forward and producing the goods to integrate a new game and a different challenge for the drivers. Gone are the days of it being purely F1 based. That's obviously still the primary, but we're looking to open some new horizons, and that is exactly what we're doing. I'm going to catch up in chat. It's been a while since I've looked and see what we've got going on. Danos gutted. Jones is having trouble with the brakes. I'm going to guess the brake bias is a little bit too aggressive on that car. We've got Westy in the chat as well. Anything Colin can't do. Well, to be honest, mate, he was set up nicely by his teammate, Stubby, and he's picked over and just kept it on the road and not made any mistakes. It's been a night of issues for quite a few teams. The BMW team having warming issues, the Ferrari team having heating issues, and the Audi team having connection issues. So really, there's only been a handful of teams that have actually had a stable evening. I think that's a glitch, Kieran. I think it's probably because they left the session and rejoined, so it lost where they were. I don't think they're that far behind. But either way, that's a P6 for them secured. And we've got Quinn and Backer challenging for position. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, it's all gone wrong for Quinn. Jones, I believe it was Jones, just put himself in an awful place there. We're going to have to get that up again because I missed that really with my own eyes. Let's see what happened then. Quinn gets the overspeed on Backer and he thinks, right, I'm going to come out to the outside. Jones is off the line thinking that no one's going to be there, and he makes a late move. He really shouldn't have made that late move, and Quinn goes dashing over the chicane into the gravel, and Jones follows through slowly and lets him get on. But that has kind of, well, it's not ruined much, they're all in the same place, but that little battle that the two drivers had has been ruined. Oh no, and the thing has been compromised. The illusion, the fourth wall has been compromised. We'll that's quite funny actually. I'm going to watch that on the replay. The fourth wall was breached there for a moment. Yeah, that's something I've got to bear in mind, but it's all good. Orange car is carting Luke. Oh. Wait, who's in the other Audi? Oh, the red Audi's Quinn. Okay, yeah, so everything I just said there is completely wrong. It doesn't, I'm not going to lie, it really doesn't help having VDMs in Audis. Like, can we not change this? Because it's very difficult to know who's who, especially when the names are wrong on screen. Another disconnection there by what looks to be Quinn's team. Quinn and Danos in the red Audis look to have disconnected from the session, and this is DZ. So all of that replay going on earlier was them getting in the way of DZ, not Quinn. But nonetheless, Jones will have regretted that position. He kind of held his line and tried to get off the track, but it was too late, and DZ already had to go around the outside of him and spun as a result. And we've got Jones in the pit lane. Their race is more or less over. The session is nearly over as we count down into the final 10 minutes. Westy is buckled, as one might expect. So it looks like the stop and go's been cleared. However, he looks to still have a drive-through. Yeah, he's got a drive-through for track limits. 3 laps to hit that. And are they actually in the same lap? It says that backer. Oh, is that Ivor taking the lead? And Danos now back in the car in P6. As DZ comes into the pit lane. Now, I'm interested to see what's happened to Colin. So let's go on board with him. And see how far back he is. So, it looks as though, all of a sudden, Ivor has inherited the lead of the race. And there's Jones, once again, getting out of the way. On the left-hand side there before turn 5. Colin gets it slowed down nicely. It's right on board, actually, with him. And see how he takes these corners. As he heads around the kink of, I believe, 6. And into one of the hardest braking zones on the counter. A little bit of a squirm there to add a little bit of distance to get the car slowed down. And guarding it nicely through the chicane, getting his foot to the floor. Doesn't want to overheat the tyres. The left's under pressure here. He's asking for a lot of grip as he heads up and over the brow and down into first gear. Tucking it in nicely for the long run, using all the track on the exit. And he's got 2 long stretches of track here, which he needs to get the exits right for. He's going to want to brake in good time. Get it tucked over to the left-hand side to open up the right, which he does. He gets that right and he uses all the track on the left to get his foot to the floor. And he crosses over the line. This will be his fastest lap of the session by half a second. He sets a 1:30.8. The time's falling dramatically. And now I'm hoping that we have some sort of finish here in which Colin can chase after Ivor. We'll have to see what happens. 67 laps of racing we've had here in the final 8 minutes. What an event it's been so far. Yeah, Jones in the chat going over his mistake, which is what we thought would happen. It's one of those things, you find yourself off the racing line and realise that they're coming side by side behind you. You've got to go somewhere. He turned a little bit too late. And that Mercedes engine really does sound good there. I'm not entirely sure why we can't see the gap. Is it a 20-second gap, I think? A 20-second gap between Colin and Ivor for the lead of the race. Now again, I'm not sure. Ivor's surely boxed. Surely he's boxed. But he has done all the driving himself. A 2-hour stint. He'll be one sweaty guy, that's for sure. Most of us are sweaty after 45 minutes, never mind 2 hours. Let's see how Colin does. He apexes that one lovely on the left-hand side, braking just as the corner starts to turn in. Very late apex, and you don't want to use too much of the track because you can get your foot to the floor. It's all about not overheating the tyres. And Colin is nigh on, spot on with his fastest time, within 2/10, 2/100ths even. He's dropped a 10th now, unfortunately, a bit of a poor exit. And here's that, Jones gone again, making sure he stays out the way. They're just going to cement in P5. I'm soon going to get on board with Ivor. Colin is bringing that margin down seconds by seconds. We'll see how close he is when he crosses the line. 11 seconds with what is really only 4 laps to go. So Colin's going to have to be gaining 2 or 3 seconds a lap to have anything to say about either. Granted that he doesn't box again. Let's see what happens in these final few laps of the race. They've accounted for around 70 laps, which will be spot on. I'd estimate 72 laps will probably do here. Maybe 73. And I do appreciate the viewers that have hung around for this entirety. It's been a long night. Over 2 hours of streaming. It'll be 2.5 by the time we're finished. So 2.5 hours is a hefty job. I'm not sure if I can do this every Friday, but it's certainly okay to launch the opening night and give people awareness. Might get a few more names down from interested drivers. We've only got 6 teams, 12 drivers. We can up that a few. So if anyone is interested, get in touch with one of the admins and we can get you that role and get you set up in a team and get you into the next session next week around Brands Hatch. It's a break after that, I believe, for a few weeks. And look at this, down to 6 seconds. We are going to see a battle for the lead, I believe, in these closing stages. So after quite a dry race, all being said, in all honesty, we've had some entertainment, but there hasn't been too many legitimate battles for the vast majority of this second stint. And Ivor's going to be under pressure, 4 minutes and counting. We're going to have 3 laps to go, and all of a sudden Colin can see him ahead. And he is gaining at a rapid rate, 3.5 seconds the gap. Closing at every braking zone and every traction zone. He's well within a second now. The timing has not updated, it's about to as we cross the sector line. 1.3 seconds. Colin is going to be hot on his heels. Let's watch from the offboard to get the best camera angle. And we'll be able to run it back to talk over some analysis of how the move got done when it inevitably gets done. Ivor could do with a good job of defending here. He's made a mistake immediately and just lets Colin by. That was underwhelming. Colin regains the lead of the race with a couple of laps to go. And Ivor will settle for P2. We can run that move back in just a moment. Already a 2-second gap. So let's run it back and see how that unfolded. Ivor would have been looking in his mirrors. He took a semi-defensive position and compromised the entry into the braking zone. Completely missed the first... Oh no, he got the first apex, but he clipped and his rear went round. He lost traction, ended up on the grass, and Colin just had to keep it steady, which he did. And he found himself back through, past Ivor into the lead of the race. Already a 5-second gap, so it would have been a very, very hard ask for him to hold on to that. Now, I don't think there'll be time to do this, but I am going to ride on board with Bakker, who is only, let's say, 5 or 6 seconds behind P2 after what was an early disastrous race from the BMW. Bakker's driven extremely well. He's maybe a good second and a half off the pace of Colin. And he's down on his own best time. The tyres going off, but low fuel will be in that car now. He didn't get that one quite right. We keep an eye on those sector times. I don't think Bakker's going to have enough in him. It would require a mistake, I think, from Ivor ahead. If Bakker's ever going to catch up, he cuts that short a little bit there. But gets through still, nonetheless. Oh, and on the grass there, it's going to cost Bakker time. Blocker versus Bakker. Ivor versus the Dirkmeister.
Leaders on final lap now.
And we've just been given the message by race control that the leader is on the final lap. It's unlikely that anything is going to change, so I'll keep an eye on Colin and make sure that we get with him as he crosses the line, as Bakker presumably sets off on his final lap. I imagine the order will stay the same. 57 is off the track. Jones there again. Spent more time off it than on it, unfortunately. He's exiting the pit lane for God knows how many times. He does it in RPM F1. He's doing it in ACC. It could be a record of pit stops for the Ferrari team tonight. And actually, Bakker is gaining heavily here. He is gaining very heavily. I'm not going to ride on board with Colin as he crosses the line because there's a good chance that we'll see a move for P2 as Ivor completely cuts the chicane. And this could be the battle that we wanted to see to change the course of the race. Bakker is going to have a couple of braking zones to get it done, and he can't afford any mistakes. He's not taking any risk with track limits. And all of a sudden, he is right on the back of Ivor. I wasn't convinced it was going to happen, but Ivor is coming out slow, and Bakker might have to send him here. He's going to have one more braking zone to do it. If he doesn't get it done, he dives back in between the slipstream, forces Ivor wide. He's put him under pressure, and Bakker picks up P2 toward the final few corners. And it looks like it's going to be a P2 finish for the BMW team after a disastrous start. Inorganic will be counting his lucky stars that his teammate has managed to claw this one back. Colin comes across the line to win in the Mercedes, and Bakker weaves himself across the line to pick up P2. Ivor will pick up P3. A great race there. And the Audi team of Luke and DZ will pick up P4. Jones and Kieran in 5th, and Quinn and Danos in P6. We'll try and get Colin and Ivor in just to discuss their ending. And we will see then. There you go. So there's the final classification. It is the Mercedes team in P1, the BMW team in P2, one of the Ferrari teams in P3, Audi in P4, and then Jones's Ferrari team with Kieran in P5, and the other Audi team of Danos and Quinn in P6. So very unfortunate for those two drivers.
Green light, show them what you got.
And I'll give these guys a few more moments to join me on comms, but if not, we can just call it a day. And in the meantime, I might just try and I'll bring you this overtake one more time, I think, which will give us a little bit more time. So let's see what happened then. As soon as Ivor saw him in his rears, this was the moment. Bakker had him. They both made it through the chicane okay, but Ivor's looking in his rears and he thinks, right, he can't make any mistakes. Coming up the hill, up and over the brow. And then Bakker half dummies him there. He's not anywhere near alongside, but Ivor thinks best to break deep, and unfortunately runs out wide, and Bakker easily picks up that position and takes P2 with just one braking zone to go before he crossed the checkered flag. We have a full interview room now. We've got Inorganic and Bakker have rejoined us. So I'm just going to open up the floor for a bit of an open discussion. I was going to ask the two that we haven't had, Colin and Ivor, if the same questions that I've been asking everybody else, but you guys are back for a bit more. So, BMW team, after a disastrous start, you've worked your way back to P2, so how does that one feel?
Couldn't be more happy, mate. Couldn't be more happy.
Absolutely. Lovely move there at the end, which I caught, as I'm sure you're aware. And you got the job done.
I told you I was going to drive my ass off.
and that's what you absolutely did. I'm not sure how you made up the gap, but you absolutely did. And obviously other mistakes have helped you along the way, but you didn't really put a foot wrong aside from a few little slip-ups here and there. But everybody else had those, and you end up reaping the rewards. So up into P2 for the first round.
Yeah, I think both me and Inorganic didn't see that coming.
No, not after my stint. I just had my head in my hands after my stint, but Bakker was outstanding.
Absolutely, a nice little piece of team chemistry going on there from the Brum racing team. Not sure who came up with that one. Did you sacrifice yourself there, Bakker, and go with that, or was Inorganic adamant that he wanted the Brummy name stamped on this team?
No, not really. It's more because he's a Brummy, but Brum is also a kids show over here and in the UK. So
very good. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, there's a little car that was filmed in Birmingham called Brum.
Oh, I do know that. I do know that.
Yeah,
the little yellow one.
Yeah, of course. Oh, you've just unlocked many memories for me there, mate. Well, that's going to be getting a watch.
Yeah, there's our CAO. CEO of Brum Motorsports, Little Brum.
Little Brum. Yeah, well, I mean, if you've got any points to make, guys, go ahead. But it doesn't look like we're going to be joined by the remaining drivers who I didn't get a chance to speak to, so hopefully we'll do that next week. But I did manage to cover everyone aside from Colin, Quinn and Ivor, so all in all, quite a successful little 2-hour period. But 2.5 hours of commentary, I've never seen anything like it.
No, how was it for you?
It was all right. It went quicker than it could have done. Granted, I'm not sure if I can do it every week, but we'll soon see. If I've not got anything on, then I might. But it was good. I thought earlier I didn't have anything on, so I just thought, well, I'll see if I can get it set up because my capture card arrived earlier. And lo and behold, it was all a problem with the old one, physically, a hardware issue. So I plugged it in and it worked as it should have done. So I thought, why not give it a crack? Was I aware that it was going to be 2.5 hours? No, but I'm here now and we've done it and it was good fun and we've tested out the replay stuff, which I'm going to use for F1, which will be very good. I think that'll be entertainment factor.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff.
Good stuff. I need to go outside because I'm very warm and eat some
Yeah,
scram. So I'm going to call this a day. So thanks for rejoining me though, and a good result for you guys. Hopefully an equally as good result next week. And you never know, without mistakes, where you could have been tonight.
Yeah, well, this track was also not really suited for this car. This car is a beast on the straights, so it was really technical in the middle sector, which didn't suit us. But P2, we can't complain.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
I know. I've never had a podium, so this is all new to me.
Very good, mate. Well, it's a shame that you don't get to see you up on the podium, but we're there in spirit, so congratulations to you for that. Hey, and maybe, just maybe, you'll get that look on Tuesday night. Who knows?
Oh, we'll see. That's brilliant.
Getting used to it now.
Yeah, exactly. Once you got the taste for it, you just keep going and going. That's usually how it works. Anyway, good stuff, guys. I'm going to end this now and stop the stream. So, appreciate you for joining me. And
yeah, thanks for comms.
Yeah, good stuff. And I'll see you on Tuesday on track or in the booth or whatever. So,
have a good night.
Yeah, you too, guys.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Right, so that wraps up the first round of this new series we've got going on here, and I'm going to call it a prompt end there. We saw the Mercedes team of Stubby and Colin come out victorious, and the BMW team of Bakker and Inorganic, Brum Motorsport in P2, Flying Scotsman Racing in P1. So a good session and a good out for the drivers. That's going to be it from me. Thanks a lot for joining, and I'll see you again on Tuesday night when we're back around the streets of Jeddah for a sprint race, back in the Formula 1 category. Bit of disappointment not to have qualifying laps around there, because it's very exciting, but nonetheless we'll have more racing action around a tight, twisty and high-speed street circuit. back in some Formula 1 cars. So I'll catch you all then, and thanks for those who stuck around to watch the majority of that. 2.5 hours down the drain. Not down the drain, worth it, but done now.